Today, what I'm, oh, I think I need to start over. So Lauren Daigle is a Christian singer, and that's her song that just came out a month ago. And she wrote this song during the pandemic, and she had a breakdown experience during the pandemic. And the first time I heard this song, I just cried in the car. I just thought it was so beautiful. And I knew that I needed to do a talk when I saw Neo and he said, come on back. Those weren't his exact words, but I knew that this is where I needed to start. So this talk is about weaving together this song with the levels of consciousness, 3 different levels of consciousness, and with life experiences. So I'm actually going to talk about the pandemic a little bit and weave it into levels of consciousness. And so she starts out with, it's been a hard year, so many nights in tears, all of the darkness, trying to fight my fears. So when we went through this experience, it was such a 3D experience, it was such a earthly experience. And one of the things that I did to prepare for this talk is I looked things up, and I'm just amazed how Spirit brought everything together. I mean, I just be reading my daily readings, or I was going through papers to do some shredding, and a quote came out of that. And then the daily word, I didn't know what the daily word was going to be today. It's all just, for me, I feel like it's coming together beautifully. So in what I read, 3D experience is really about fear and anger and complaining. And it's about sadness and depression and mistrust. And it's also about panic and scarcity consciousness. And she, Lauren, actually had some panic experiences during this time. So we went through fear about possibly getting sick and even possibly dying. We were caught up in fear. And I'm talking about the whole world. Maybe we didn't individually, maybe we had so much faith, but I think there were moments for all of us where we got in fear. And I know I got angry. A couple of weeks to balance the curve, and it went on, and there was anger there, and complaining, and then sadness and depression over the fact that we couldn't hug people. We couldn't hold them in our arms. We were just separated. And then there was mistrust, people got uninvited to family dinners, to Thanksgiving and Christmas. And so everyone had their heart broken in some way. And it feels to me like all of us got a little mild, or many of us got a mild case of post-traumatic stress disorder. It was a very hard time. It was very concentrated 3D consciousness that we were living through. Now, I know for myself, I went into panic and went to Costco and bought one of those great big things of toilet paper. Panic buying is one of the things that happens in 3D consciousness. And I know I got so worried for my roommate. He had a heart attack years ago. And so I insisted on doing all his grocery shopping for him for 6 months. And we don't eat together. We don't eat the same at all. He goes to a totally different store than I do. And I was afraid for him. So I did that for him. And I can remember being so angry at the one-way arrows and people parking their carts in the middle of the row and long lines and weaving through here and there and not being able to find what, his foods because I didn't know the store. And I remember being just so angry. And I can remember being sad that I couldn't hold my grandkids. I couldn't hug them I remember one grandchild that was 5 months. And I know some people is way longer than that. So I feel very blessed about that. So that's one of the ways that I experienced the 3D. So I want to read a quote by Adyashanti, because I think we have an opportunity, because it was so concentrated in 3D, that we have an opportunity to look at how we got caught up emotionally or whatever. And so Adyashanti says, what in me can still go into division? What in me can still go into hate, into ignorance, into greed? What in me can cause me to feel divided, isolated, full of sorrow? Where are the spots in me that are less than awakened? So we have the opportunity to look at that time and any residual from that time, and to look deeply. And another quote is from Paul Selig's a book called The Kingdom, that it states, the transition you are now undergoing, the species itself is moving beyond fear to what may be beyond it. But you don't move beyond something without facing it, without seeing its consequences, so that the choice may be made by each of you in a higher way. And then a few pages later, he says, the gift you give the Creator is your willingness to be on this journey. So are we willing to be on this journey of unfolding our consciousness? We already are. I mean, if we're unity and spiritual beings, of course we are. But sometimes it's helpful to look back and see that the whole world went through something very heavy. And how did we respond? And like Lauren, she, her song gets more and more about her relationship with God and her faith and trust in God. And so we have the opportunity to see that too. So it's a journey of awakening in consciousness. And the next level is 4D consciousness. And in 4D, we have hope, we have introspection, we have reflection and releasing. See, I had no idea today was release on the Daily Word, and it's just so beautiful how it all comes together. So it's a time for us to replace fear with introspection and reflection, to go inside, to go deeper into prayer and meditation, to ask inside, show me how I can go beyond the fear, the anger, the mistrust, all the things, because we never know what's going to show up in the world, in our lives, and how we look inside, we can be prepared for anything that comes our way next. And to trust that the love of God will guide us through that. So Lauren Daigle talks about, in her song, she says, I've started breathing. The weight is lifted here. With you, it's easy. And she's talking about God. My head is finally clear. So she's out of the fear. She's out of the panic, the breakdown. And we're out of it now too, because the pandemic is officially over. We all survived. We got through it. We're blessed. And it is a wonderful opportunity for us to go deeper, to see what God wants for us. Now, when we're in 4D, we can still go back and forth between 3D and 4D. We can still go back into some of those heavier emotions. And so it's good to just be mindful, to be present, to see something happens as we grow, as we move along this path of consciousness. It's like we're not alone inside. And there's moments when an emotion will come up and an inner voice will say, do you really want to go there? Or sometimes it'll even say, stop, just stop. You know, if I'm getting a little off. So as we awaken, these things happen. Lauren talks about nothing is missing when you are by my side. That's another part of her song. And so as we go through this process and we listen within and we trust that the inner voice is going to guide us and actually, you know, sometimes just say, hey, get back on track, you know. So in 4D, there's more compassion also. We open our hearts more. We're not so inundated by the heaviness of the world. And so we can look out and be more open to serving, to be more open to giving. We see that many have denied their connection to the divine. And so our hearts open to them because we have a connection. We have that. Adyashanti says, that which is awakened is compassionate. Its nature is undivided, unconditional love. It doesn't move away from that which is unawakened. It moves toward it. So those are the unawakened parts of ourself and the unawakened in others. That this compassion comes forward out of our divine self to be present for others. One of the things I started doing about a year ago, because I was feeling kind of stagnant, you know, like, how can I make a difference? And I just started talking to random strangers in the grocery store, or parking lots, or whatever. I would just start saying hi. Oh my gosh, it was like so wonderful. It was such a blessing. People were so hungry to be seen and heard. It was still a time when people weren't looking at each other. You know, people weren't talking to each other. And so I'd have these wonderful encounters of just people opening up. And some people, I know I had at least 3 people. We talked for over half an hour. This one lady in a parking lot, and we ended up talking about God, and just, it was so precious. Like, I felt like I was in service. And it was a service to me too, because I felt so blessed. And we just talk, and then our hearts would open and we'd feel this love between us. And we'd both just walk away totally blessed by this experience. And so you know, a lot of good things came out of this experience. We felt so squashed that we started opening up to presence, not just the presence in us, but the presence in others, and encouraging that presence of love and compassion to come forward in us. So our hearts opened to each other. And a way to sum up 4D is, I have a plaque on my wall. In fact, it's right over there. I'd show it to you, but it'll be backwards, right? I'm a Zoom newbie. But anyway, it says, we're all just walking each other home. And so even the littlest thing, like holding the door for somebody, or just looking at someone and smiling. I can't tell you how many people it lit up just to smile at somebody. And so there's so much that we can do just even in the little things. And so one of the things that Lauren had said was, there's nothing missing when you are by my side. And so as we allow this presence to more and more take over our lives, then nothing's missing. And, you know, we're still going through stuff in the world. We're going through inflation. We're going through like readjusting our budgets, you know, and looking at where can we let go of things that no longer matter to us, you know, or things we can live without, you know, that we've been so blessed here in this country. And right now we have to continue the introspection and the reflection in what's going on in the worldly experience that's impacting us, so that we don't go into fear, we don't go into anger, but we have the capacity to make choices. And like I said, I redid my budget. Like I re-looked at things. Where can I take things out? And so we're also walking ourselves home. We're not just walking each other home. We can choose something beyond our emotional nature to keep us grounded, to keep us focused. And that not only is the God within us, supporting us and loving us, but also us taking the time to see where we can have the power to do something in our own lives and not just be taken over. So 5D is beautiful. You know, that's where we start to see that we're all one, we're connected, there's no separation. We really feel that presence more and more. We're guided by it more and more. In fact, along the journey, there comes a time when we actually, our ego, our identity becomes assumed by that presence. And then we become that presence in the world. That's the ultimate journey, is to become God's love manifesting in the world. So one of the people that I've been blessed to have an experience with is someone named Muji. And he actually came to this area years ago, and I got to be with him. And he's very down to earth. He was actually a Christian. He had beautiful, amazing Christian experiences before he went to India and met his teacher and awakened to his true nature. And he doesn't want to be put on a pedestal like many of these teachers. He's just so loving and just exudes this patience with people that come with their questions. And he points the way. to who we really are. And because he has a Christian background, I can relate to him better than some of the other teachers. And he just opens us up to our true nature. Even listening to him, he has videos all over YouTube. And some of them are just short little ones. Some of them are really long. But I invite you to check him out. If it's not your thing, that's fine. But I've started listening to him more and more again to get my heart right, to get really present with what's important. So Lauren Daigle, in her song, says, "You're my safe place, my hideaway. You're my anchor, my saving grace. You're my constant, my steadiness. You're my shelter, my oxygen." And so as we do whatever, whether it's another teacher, it's reading the Bible, it's other spiritual books, to keep us grounded in spirit, to keep us connected to that divine spirit, to know that God is our safe place, our hideaway, our anchor, our saving grace, and that God is the constant in our life. We're going through a journey of awakening of consciousness, until who we really are expresses as us. We become the true self. We can actually see that experiences in the world can have the opportunity of moving us along our path, because we get to see who we've been being and see that it's painful to continue those old patterns, those old ways of being, and to become mindful, to reflect. And so the world, all these crazy things that are happening in the world and have happened, they have an opportunity. It's an opportunity for us to grow. So these old habits and patterns of mind become painful, and we shift. I've learned through this that we must take better care of ourselves in order to be there for others and to serve not only them, but to serve the divine. We have to take good care of ourselves. And we have to stop relying on the shifting sands of the world and know that the God within is the one constant that's always here. We rely on that divine presence instead. It's the one constant in our journey. And Lauren states, "I took the long road, but now I realize I'm home with you. I'm home." And that's what it feels like when we have those moments of feeling God's presence. So to wrap this all up, I'm going to finish with a refrain. That's what brought me to tears when I first heard it. "I don't know who I'd be if I didn't know you. I'd probably fall off the edge. I don't know where I'd go if you ever let go. So keep me held in your hands. I don't know who I'd be if I didn't know you. Thank God." God bless. So let's take time for short meditation. You just close your eyes and take some nice deep breaths. And let's just let go. Release all the cares and worries of the world and just be here now. Just be here in this sacred space, the sacred space within where God resides. Sweet Spirit, we open ourselves to you. We open ourselves to your presence. We thank you for all the opportunities the world provides to see ourselves more clearly, to grow, to shift in consciousness, to come closer and closer to you until you express through us as the love that you are. And so, dear God, we ask, please enter my heart. Fill me with your presence completely. Guide me to you, to your sweet, sweet presence. And guide me in how best to serve you. How best to serve those around me as your love. And let's just take a moment as we hear the waves. Let's just take a moment to allow God to fill us completely with divine presence. Dear God, Thank you for your presence within us. Thank you for guiding us and blessing us. And each of us can say in our hearts, thank God I do have you